Cronbach alpha is a statistical measurement that we use to identify whether the set of items in our questionnaire is reliable or not. The question is how this measurement works. In this video, I will show you step by step what is Cronbach alpha, how to perform it in SPSS, and also in the end, I will show you the tip to improve the Cronbach alpha score if you obtain the value is below the acceptable. Keep watching. Before we go into the exercise, let's understand what Cronbach alpha is. Cronbach alpha is a measure of internal consistency, reliability for a set of scale or test items. It assesses how closely related a set of items are as a group, aiming to determine if they're measuring the same underlying construct or concept. It's commonly used in psychology, education, and other social sciences to assess reliability of surveys, questionnaires, and psychological tests. We need Cronbach alpha to ensure that the items in a scale or test are consistently measuring the same thing. If the items are not consistent, the reliability of the scale or test is compromised, and the results might not be valid. For example, if you have a questionnaire designed to measure anxiety levels, you want to ensure that each question is measuring anxiety and that they are all measuring it in a similar ways. Cronbach alpha helps to quantify this consistency. Cronbach alpha can range from 0 to 1. A value of 0 indicates no internal consistency among the items. A value of 1 indicates perfect internal consistency, meaning all items are perfectly correlated with each other. Generally, higher values of Cronbach alpha indicates better internal consistency among the items. There is not a strict cutoff for what constitutes an acceptable Cronbach alpha, as it depends on the context and purpose of your scale or test. However, in many fields, a Cronbach alpha above 0.70 is considered acceptable for research purposes. Some fields might require higher values, such as 0.80 or even 0.90, depending on the sensitivity of the measurement and the consequences of measurement error. And you can see in this table, this is the interpretation of each Cronbach alpha value based on the result. You can see below 0.5 is unacceptable, more than 0.5 is poor, more than 0.6 is questionable, more than 0.7 is acceptable, more than 0.8 is good, and more than 0.9 is excellent. If your Cronbach alpha is low, it might indicate that some items in your scale are not contributing to its internal consistency. In such cases, you might consider deleting those items and re-evaluating the alpha coefficient. And now, let's move to the SPSS and do the exercise. In this worksheet, I have 7 variables that contains of 5 Likert scale items and 1 variable that is categorical and 1 continuous variable. You see, 5 Likert scale variable here is the variable that I use to measure the satisfaction of a product. And we will measure how reliable those question items are to be used to measure the respondent's level of satisfaction. To perform the reliability analysis or measuring the Cronbach alpha score, go to Analyze, Scale, and then select Reliability Analysis. You see a dialog box on your screen, and then select the all items that we want to analyze. Select questions that are part of one group measurements and then move them into the items box. Remember, if you have 2 groups of questions, for example, in this survey you will measure the level of satisfaction and also the level of importance, then you need to analyze the Cronbach alpha separately, one by one, based on each group of questions. Do not immediately put all variables into the items box for the reliability measurements, because it will measure the wrong scale. After selecting the all items of questions, hit the arrow button to move it to the items box, and then at the statistic options, click it, and this is where we will set the output that you want to show at the output table. Here, for me, the must-have items at the output table is the item, scale, and also scale if item deleted. This is the important output, and then just click continue. After that, for the model, you can select several options that SPSS provide, but if you want to use the Cronbach alpha, select the alpha option or by default, and you can also give the scale label name. Let's just make the name for satisfaction, and then click OK. Great, now at the output window you have the result of the reliability analysis for your questions, for your 5 questions that represent the satisfaction level. Let's interpret it one by one. At the first table, you see the case processing summary statistics, and you see that the valid row, which means the total of the data that is included in this reliability analysis, is 30, or this is 100% of the data is included in this analysis. You see the excluded row is 0, which means there is no blank or missing values in your data. And below it, you see the reliability statistics. This is the most important score that you will need to interpret in your analysis. This is the Cronbach alpha value that you need. You see, the Cronbach alpha value is 0.949. A Cronbach alpha coefficient of 0.949 indicates a very high internal consistency among the items in the scale. This suggests that the items in the scale are highly correlated with each other and are measuring the same underlying construct effectively. With 5 items in the scale, achieving such a high Cronbach alpha coefficient is typically considered excellent. It indicates that the scale is reliable and consistent in measuring the construct of interest. Researchers can have confidence in using the scale for measuring the construct due to its high internal consistency reliability. Let's move to the next table. You see the item statistics below the reliability statistics that consists of mean, standard deviation, and also the total of the value. You see the mean and standard deviation for each items, and I'll just skip this table because I believe you'll understand this. Let's move to the another important table that you need to understand. This is the item total statistics. You see, this is how we can improve the value of the Cronbach alpha by deleting or removing one items one by one. And you see, SPSS give a simulation. If you delete one items, the Cronbach alpha will turn into a specific value, so you can choose whether you want to remove it or not. For example, if we were to remove the item test question from the scale, the Cronbach alpha will decrease from 0.949 to 0.927. This indicates that the test contributes positively to the internal consistency of the scale, as removing it will slightly decrease the overall reliability. We are lucky that in this reliability test, if one variable is removed, it will not have much effect on the Cronbach alpha score. However, reducing this item will be very influential if you have a Cronbach alpha value that is almost acceptable. Imagine if your original Cronbach alpha value was 0.6 and just by eliminating one question, your Cronbach alpha value rise into 0.7. It will be a game changer for your research. You don't need to add more samples, you need to change the design of your questionnaires, or you don't need to add more money to increase your Cronbach alpha. Just eliminate one item and your research is safe to go. You see at the bottom we have scale statistics table that shows the descriptive statistics of the overall items that we use in this analysis. 2 things that you need to remember when performing the reliability analysis. First, your Cronbach alpha score must be above 0.7 because this is the acceptable numbers for common research. And if the number is below that 0.7, you need to reconstruct your questionnaire or your design. This is where you need to pay attention to the item total statistics table that you set up to show in your output window. You see, just by eliminating one item, you can significantly improve your Cronbach alpha score and it will be a game changer for your research. That's it. See you in the next video.